and was on the felony trial level, doing trials until the end of '75, when I left the public defender's office and stayed in private practice in terms of criminal defense work, where I represented the Albany City Schools for 19 years. Then I was on the bench in Albany City Court criminal part in '95 to 2001 through 2001, and since then, and I still am, Albany County Court judge. I'm forced to retire at the end of the year, so I indicated an interest in what appeared to be a vacancy in the public defender's office as public defender earlier this year, and then nothing happened, and all of a sudden in August things started to happen, and I was nominated and appointed by the county executive a few weeks ago. What I would hope to do with the public defender's office, and it's already underway, the county executive has indicated a very strong interest in modernizing the public defender's office, bringing it into the 21st century, making it one of the better, if not the best, public defender's offices in New York State in order to provide indigent legal services to people charged with crimes in Albany County. I believe that there's a lot of work to be done there in terms of growth and reorganization. And I've already spoken with Mr. Calderon and with the county executive about some issues that I've seen from looking at it from the outside. Just as an example, the public defender's office is actually embedded in a law enforcement agency, Albany County Probation. There's 4 floors to the building at 60 South Pearl Street. The public defender's office has a part of the top floor where probation has full access to their office. There's a kiosk in the public defender's office for the probation department. There's about 12 desks for 30 attorneys, and the 4 of the 12 desks are located at the other end of the building, where you have to literally walk through the probation department to get to their desks. It's a very awkward situation. It's not conducive to a good attorney-client relationship. That's something that needs to be addressed sooner than later. And there's a lot of other issues, inequities with how assistant public defenders are compensated compared with the conflict defenders and assistant district attorneys. These are things that need to be discussed over a period of time and addressed if the county's interest in having the public defender's office modernized and being a very high-level defense law firm is going to occur. So my interest is in moving forward and modernizing the Albany County Public Defender's Office, working in conjunction with the county executive and the Albany County Legislature.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Go ahead, Paul.
Do you foresee any problems with conflicts because of your, cases that you might have had on the bench that now might come before you as a public defender?
No, I looked at this months ago. Out of my approximately 70 cases when I was appointed, I think that there were 17 where the public defender was the attorney of record, and I have recused myself from any of the cases that are scheduled for hearings or trials. I do not take any new public defender arraignments, new indictments. In every case that has come before me on issues that are non-merit determination issues like bail, posting, arraignments, things like that, where the attorney is the public defender, I disclose the potential conflict and give the defendant an opportunity to speak with their attorney, the public defender, and then if the defendant, the public defender, or the prosecutor wish me to recuse myself, I would step aside. That's fully disclosed. And once, if I am confirmed by the legislature and become the public defender, I will not have anything to do with any of the cases where I did anything on the merits of a case that was in front of me. That would be from the time that I would have decided an omnibus motion, motions to suppress, to review the minutes of the grand jury, things like that. Any case that went beyond motion practice, I would have nothing to do with, and the Chief Assistant, Mr. Kinlan, would be responsible for those cases. And I've checked that situation with the Advisory Committee for Judicial Ethics. I did not get a written opinion, but I have discussed that at length with their attorney, and I feel very comfortable that there would be no conflict.
Any more questions? Anyone? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, from the audience. First of all, let me say that this is absolutely a tremendous appointment, and congratulations to you, the county executive. I'm sure that you have forgotten more criminal law than most attorneys, certainly myself included, have ever learned. So your qualifications are tremendous. I wonder if I could ask you a few questions just on your outlook and future for the office. The previous county executive administration, I apologize, the Personnel Committee has heard this every time there's been an appointment here for Public Defender's Office, but the previous county executive's policy with this office was to get rid of these part-time positions, which are generally filled by more senior, more experienced attorneys, and put them with just full-time PD people. And I consistently argued against this because the reality is you don't want an office all of full-time PD people. Very few attorneys are going to make this their full lifetime career. And having part-time lines in there means that folks with a real dedication to independent defense can stay on in a part-time capacity, lend their experience to the office, lend their experience to the other attorneys, lend their experience, most importantly, to their clients. I'm hopeful that you share a similar point of view, and we want to move forward with keeping some of these part-time positions to really increase or maintain the experience level in the office. Because the reality is, for most attorneys, they would love to make a career out of indigent defense, but the reality is they have student loans, they might have a mortgage, they might have kids going to college, and I don't want to see the PD's office become a situation where we train people for 2-3 years and then turn them into private practice. And I think one real way that that's been done, previous administration notwithstanding, was to keep part-time positions for more experienced people there. What do you think?
Well, when I was an assistant public defender, everyone was part-time. Right now, the pay schedule for assistant public defenders is indicates about a 35-hour week position. Conflict defenders are allowed to do have a non-conflicting practice. They are paid at a higher level, at least at the starting point, than assistant public defenders. And so I'm not sure exactly what the current policy is. There are many assistant public defenders that have a private practice that does not conflict with what they do as an assistant public defender. And I have not discussed this at length with the county executive or with anybody in the legislature. My feeling is not dissimilar to what you're describing. I think that to have very experienced attorneys that can assist Mr. Kinlan in-service training and mentoring, and still be allowed to have some non-conflicting private practice is advisable. I think that having a full-time track for newer assistant or public defenders is also advisable, and it would make it more attractive for people just starting a practice. So I see like a hybrid situation, and that's something that I would discuss with the legislature and the county executive once I see exactly what we have.
I think we're talking about similar things, but
Yes.
whether it's part-time lines or full-time lines with the ability to work outside the office, I think it's very important to have something like that because it really will increase the experience level.
Well, I have there are assistant public defenders that are making $43,000 a year, and it's not enough really to survive, and they would have to have some sort of an outside income. And I'm hoping to get them up to a level very quickly to that of the conflict offender starting compensation level.
I think we're on the same page. If I could ask maybe one more question?
Go ahead.
Just your general thoughts on the concept of a state takeover of the entire public defense system. The bill that the state legislature passed last year to, hopefully the governor will sign to shift the cost of the state was a tremendous idea, and there's going to be a great benefit to counties across the state.
Absolutely.
I have real concerns with a total state takeover of the system. The biggest concern being, obviously, throughout every county, there's a difference of DA funding versus public defender's office funding. And some of that's normal because prosecutors prosecute every case and the DA's office does not defend every case. But it seems to me a source of this inequity has been grant funding from the state, particularly Division of Criminal Justice Services. I would say, because I've been on the law committee the 9 years I've been here, I would say conservatively, the amount of grants going to DA versus PD's office are 20 to 1.
I would agree with you, not knowing the exact figures.
Me neither, but it's tremendous. But so my concern would be a state takeover seems to me would be putting it in the hands of the folks that have created a good deal of the budget inequity. And I have some real caution about doing that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, my thoughts are that I'm very hopeful that the state will take over the expense of indigent legal representation in criminal cases. How that shapes as a final product, I think, is open to negotiation, and I think it is being negotiated between the state legislature and the governor's office. I don't know how that's going to end up, but I'm optimistic that it will be beneficial to every county in the state. In some counties, the public defender is an elected official, and in those counties, very often the pay scale is comparable to that of the district attorney. In Albany County, the public defender is an appointed position, and that there are differences. But I'd be glad to talk to you at length about this as time goes by.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Grimm?
Mr. Chairman, Judge Herrick, thank you for appearing tonight and for your many years of service to Albany County. Thank you. The county executive and the district attorney have very different opinions of the public defender's office, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to weigh in. I know you're new, and it is putting on a spot a little bit, but these differences are real, and I really have to have some sense of where you fall regarding those differences. I'd like to quote from each of those gentlemen and then get your reaction if I could.
Sure.
From County Executive McCoy, when you have one side of the house stacked and they have all the tools and resources to prosecute you, and you're over here and you don't have the same tools to defend these people being prosecuted, well, how do you think the outcome is going to be? Unquote. From David Soares, Mr. McCoy's perception of our criminal justice system, it can only be described as unfortunate and ill-advised. The indigent defense system in Albany County does not suffer from a lack of resources or talent, as suggested by Mr. McCoy. It suffers from a lack of steady leadership, from a flawed organizational structure that does not meet the challenges of the 21st century law office, and from the inefficient use of existing funding. Which of those positions do you agree with?
Both of them and neither of them.
Could you elaborate a little further on that?
I think that the district attorney's office is much better funded than the public defender's office. I think that they have more staff than the public defender's office has. They have support staff that the public defender's office does not have. They have investigators that the public defender's office does not have. They have the infrastructure. Their office space is grandiose compared to that of the public defender or the conflict defender. They have resources that neither the public defender's office nor the conflict defender's office currently have. And I don't think, because I was there and I heard what was said by the county executive that he was in any way slamming the Albany County District Attorney. I think he's talking in general about public defenders in New York State and how they are under-resourced compared with the elected office of District Attorney.
So you do agree that there's a lack of resources in the public defender's office? So that's a position Mrs. Soares disagrees with.
I do agree that there is a lack of resources in the public defender's office because I've visited both offices and I've seen what the haves have and the have-nots have. So Yes.
I've asked you just one final question. On Friday, there was a story in the Times Union about reorganization of the Public Defender's Office. I wondered, were you a part of that planning, or is this something basically being handed to you as you enter?
I'm aware of what is happening. I am not participating because I am not the public defender. I am a judge, and I'm still on the bench. I'm made aware of what happens as it happens, but I'm not part of the decision-making process that Mr. Kinlan is utilizing.
Thank you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone? I guess that's it. Okay.
I just want to say, Judge, thank you for your service. It's a true asset to have you come aboard and teach the next generation of public defenders. And when if the committee allows, I would be honored to make the motion. If one or two other questions are...
I think
Could I
the
just ask
chairman
one question, and then I'll defer
Absolutely.
back to you? Judge, as you know, we've known each other for many years. I'm very happy with the
I think you knew me when I had hair.
Maybe, yes. Where I had dark hair. The, one question I had, and I just want to clarify one thing. You are retiring from your bench at the end of this year?
I'm retiring from the bench about 15 days after my appointment, or after the legislature acts. So
Okay,
I have to give the state 15 days' notice, and that places me very appropriately, perhaps, starting on or about Halloween.
that's what I was just thinking. Okay, I just want to clarify. I didn't know if we were getting you on Halloween or New Year's Day.
Okay,
So,
right.
excellent. Okay, I'll
You're gonna
defer back
second?
to Mr. Signoracci.
I would like to be honored to make the motion for Judge Herrick to move forward with his nomination.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Respond to your emails. You want me to wait? No, thanks. You can still stand.
Okay. Number 5, confirming the appointment of Director of Department of Economical Development, Conservation, Planning, Matt Cannon, please.
Can I just make a comment
All right.
first?
The chairman will...
I got to put my chairman hat on now. The charter, section 1103 of the charter, as it refers to this position, states that the county planning board must advise the legislature on, before we act, on to respect to the qualifications of the candidates. So I would suggest that we defer a vote today. We'll listen to Mr. Cannon, we'll ask her, we'll go through the confirmation process and defer our vote until before the meeting. We could have, I'm not telling the chair what to do, but we could have a meeting before the meeting if he suggests that.
Yes. We're going to... Pre-meeting, yes.
Pre-meeting.
Yes.
So we'd adjourn this hearing until that time for the...
Yes, and the request has already gone to the planning board for the advice. They haven't
But he don't
gotten
have to
back
speak
to us
of it.
yet. And when they do, I'll share that with the chair, and he can, I'm sure we'll get it out to you.
So that'll be an off the floor.
Off the floor.
Yeah.
Meaning for,
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, this meeting would be adjourned.
yeah, you'll continue this meeting.
Yes.
We'll interview the candidate.
Yeah, do tonight.
Understood.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, you want to give us some background? And
That's a tough act to follow. It's quite the honor to follow, though. Appreciate the opportunity to meet with everyone tonight. I know some members of the room, but there's more I don't know, so I'm happy to discuss my background and why I'm energized and excited for this opportunity. Albany County native, live here now, raising my own family, and my background is in the communications, PR, marketing field, and that's what we envision being able to do with this role and how we can market Albany County going forward from an economic development perspective. Some of the things I envision with this role is kind of a few different fronts. One, I want to tap into my government experience. So I've worked in both the state senate, state assembly, have some great contacts up on the Hill that I think can be assets to what we're doing here in Albany County from a business climate, knowing who's coming, who's looking, where they're looking throughout the state. That goes along right into the CFA application process, the REDC awards that we know come out every year. I've worked with quite a few clients that have not only submitted CFA applications, but won them. And I think that's an asset that we can use to position Albany County as a true value for these companies that are looking throughout the state. My background with economic development specifically, I've done PR and marketing for various economic development-oriented clients throughout the state. I have a host of ones primarily here in the capital region, but I have gone as far out as Syracuse, Rochester, also working with some statewide associations that have a strong economic impact on the state. It comes down to, in my opinion, to marketing. And when you look at this region, who our competition is, the neighboring counties here in the capital region. And if there's a company looking at Albany County, how do we ensure that they are coming here in Albany County? It's a great diverse community here, from the hill towns to the cities to the suburbs. And if it doesn't fit in one community, how do we ensure that this company stays within the borders of Albany County and doesn't run up to Saratoga County or go over to Schenectady County? And that's an aggressive marketing pitch of selling what Albany County has to offer and the services that you work upon. That's my quick elevator pitch. That's a long elevator ride, but of what I envision for this role. But I'd be more than happy to discuss experience, answer any questions of what we can do with this role.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Matt, known you for many years. Happy to have you aboard once we get the piece from the planning department. But I'm sure one question I have, or actually two, I'm sure that you've looked at the budget for economic development, and there's only one individual that's there, which is your line. One person is up in the garage in DPW, and the other one is in planning. That's there. With some of the things in trying to market Albany County, which is your forte, I mean, what is it that you would need in the budget coming out in another 10, 15 days on the 10th of October? What is it that you envision, or how would the legislature be able to work with the executive to give you the resources that you would need to wind up being able to market the county?
Sure.
You indicated that the CFA process, there are other grants, there's housing grants and home grants that the county can and has applied for in the past. That can, trickle down to the cities of Albany or Watervliet or Cohoes, Green Island, other areas for, housing stabilization, CFAs, whether it's Main Street or other grants that localities can, work in a partnership with the city and the county, so that localities can actually get, the best bang for their buck, to kind of, have applications going in, more applications and
Sure.
money going into the community, so that you can further market Albany County, because all of the 19, localities make up the county. So I guess, looking at the budget, I mean, is that, where, you would like to have grant writers, other planners, I mean, other individuals, because one person being in charge of is kind of pretty much a yeoman's task.
Sure.
When being able to do that.
Yeah.
So that was.
And I think that's something that open dialogue with the legislature of determining as we get in the job and see the full entailment of it, of where the best fits and how to best shape that department. Because you're correct. If we want this to fully be effective, there needs to be a couple pieces to the puzzle. I don't have that exact answer for you today, because I'd love to get in and see, how things are working to start. And also, I understand the time of year we're doing this, 10 to 15 days, doesn't give a full, analysis of what's going on. But I do think you're spot on with the volume of grants and opportunities out there. We'd be doing it, we want to make sure we're fully maximizing the capability to grasp those. And that would be a conversation I'd love to entertain and welcome as we move forward, because there's a host of ways that we can fund some great opportunities here.
Anyone else from the board?
Answers.
Mr. Grimm, go ahead.
Mr. Cannon, I'm Mark Grimm, I'm a county legislator.
Oh, really?
Thank you for being with us
No,
tonight,
of
we
course,
appreciate
thank
it
you.
very much. I've reviewed your resume very carefully. Just a couple of clarifications if I might. Have you ever had the opportunity to own or manage a business?
I have not. I have grown up in a household where my father did, so I've had great exposure to that, and I've worked in small business. Myself, my name has not been the name on the line, though, if that's the question.
Because I noticed your resume, there's quite a bit of political affairs here, but I don't see a lot of business management experience,
Sure.
which I think would be helpful for your role. And one of the things I feel government, in most cases, gets it wrong when it comes to economic development. They see it as grants to the politically connected. I see economic development as helping businesses grow so they can increase sales tax and they can generate jobs, which allows us to generate the revenue for all the programs that were needed. How much time do you plan on spending with businesses? Tell me about that plan.
No, and that's a great point, and what I can say from the career in the public relations, public affairs side, a good amount of my clients were smaller business, not always tied to a state agency, and I think, that's often the backbone of the community, and to me, it's involvement with the chambers, it's involvement at the local level, meeting with those local businesses, so I definitely agree, you have to know that, who's on the streets, who's opening the new shops, who's opening the new avenues within the community. It's, a business that brings 300 jobs is awesome. But a business that brings 5 jobs is also great. So I think fully understanding those, and I think you can do a lot with our local chambers. I think they do a great job there, and having
13th of
it's going to be key to have a great relationship with them and, open dialogue with them as well.
Because if I ask you, you talk about marketing, our county, but if I ask you what you think is the most important thing you could do for businesses in Albany County, what would it be?
It'd be after the public
great
forum,
question.
which the public forum is
Existing ones?
15 as soon as it's over.
Existing ones?
When it's on, you
Open
never know what
communication,
that's gonna be.
having an avenue of, I know often that they can go, there's great avenues to begin with. A lot of businesses work directly with county legislatures, county ledge members, and can talk to them about needs and concerns. But I think that's an avenue we can play as well from this department. How can your business grow in the next year? How can your business grow in the next 5 years? And how can we assist with that? How can we be a partner in that?
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. Drake.
Oh, go ahead.
Just a couple of questions.
Sure.
I noticed that you were out of school in '07, but your work history began in 2010. Could you tell us what your first jobs were?
Oh, yeah. So, and that was just from running out of room, trying to keep it to one page for you. So when I first moved back to the region, a few months after graduating, and job searching, my first job was, I had a temp job at Tax and Finance. I was the type that I need a job. I want to work and, put in some time there. I was there, it was roughly 6 to 8 months, somewhere in that ballpark. And then I went to Time Warner, and I did some field work there at Time Warner. So I was doing, think your traditional cable type work. And I was there, so that would have filled the gap. That would have brought me up, because then I went to the Assembly right after that. So I was there for just under 2 years. So that was, and it was actually, interestingly enough, it was basically the footprint of the county. So, I was up in Bern at 10 o'clock at night, and then going down to Waterville for 11 o'clock. So it was within the footprint here, and I think that fills the gap that you're looking for up to leading into the Assembly.
I was looking, and this isn't meant to be a criticism, it's a question. I noticed that you've got 7 job changes in under 5 years.
Yep.
Do you see, how do you see yourself in terms of, are you looking for a long-term role here at Albany County?
Absolutely, and I can tell you, the job I'm in now, I thought I was going to be there for a while. And when this opportunity was presented to me, it was one of those, kind of almost a dream opportunity to service the community I live in. I have a family, I have a 2-year-old, I've got another one on the way, and, I'm ready to settle down. The way I look at my resume, those opportunities, each one was a way to advance my career. I view this as kind of the peak of the mountain on the career. I don't think this is going to be something I'm going to be reaching out to you in 6 months and saying I found something better. I mean, this is the type of job that I can see myself settling in for a while and have no intention of doing anything different with it.
How do you think this opportunity happened for you? You seemed surprised by it. In your own words, you thought it was a dream come true. I mean, how did that?
Just with how the job hadn't been, my understanding is that how the job had not so much gone away, but hadn't been filled from previous administration, and the opportunity to bring it back and put the county out front competing with other counties in the area. I look at someone like Ray Gillen in Schenectady, who I've had the pleasure of working with on some projects, and I view this as a similar role to that. And I think I highly respect Ray and think he does great things, but kind of, he's the competition is how I view this role, and that's a tremendous challenge and opportunity I'd love to take on.
How do you and County Executive McCoy plan to? How do you see your role as working with all the municipal IDAs in the area? I mean, Albany County has taken a backseat, as you pointed out, for some time, maybe in terms of economic development. What is your plan over the next 3 years or so to increase jobs and growth by integrating with those IDAs?
Absolutely, and I think it's getting, the key word's integrating, jumping right in there, making the connections, having a pulse of what's going on in all the different communities within Albany County. Because when the opportunities come, whether they come via the governor's office or just a general business reaching out, having that full pulse and know what's going on, where our opportunity landscape is within the community is how we'll be effective. So for me, it's not, I just don't see how it can work if I'm sitting at a desk. I need to be talking to the members of the local IDA. I need to be talking to the county legislators to know what's going on and where the opportunities are within your district. I envision that I need to have that a full understanding of the entire county. And as I mentioned earlier, that's what I enjoy about this county is how diverse it is. From the hill towns to the suburbs to the cities. That diversity, in my opinion, we have a fit somewhere for a business. It's just what's the best fit. So I think some sweat equity is going to help with that, and that's the way I operate. So
Thank you.
no, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Sean?
I just want to say, I think for almost all the 20 years that I've been on the legislature, we've been looking for an economic development director. And every time we think we have one, they either don't show or they don't stay long. And I did have an opportunity to interview Matt, because I've got a little economic development background. I think I talked to him for a few hours, and I won't go over all the details here, but I was very enthused by what I heard, because what I heard, number one, was what he just said, collaboration. Back when we were successful, the IDAs worked together in the local communities and the chambers and the CEGs, and we also have great resources right in this county already. They just need to work, I'm not saying under one umbrella, but at least with one vision. We have great grant writers. One of them's sitting right there. He's gotten us some business grants. We have good planners. We have good GIS people. We need the marketer, and that's what I've been looking for a long time. And that's what I'm hearing from Matt. I'm very excited about the fact that we have somebody that can be the face of Albany County, because right now, Rensselaer County has a face, Schenectady County has a face, Greene County, small county, has a face, Saratoga has a face. And the governor's office, when they get a stat sheet on a business that's looking in New York State, they don't know where to send it in Albany County. And I want them to send some to Ralph in Cohoes, some to me in Green Island, some to you guys in the hill towns and in Albany, and you send that one stat sheet out to everybody, and you see where they fit. And then the business will decide what's the best fit, but at least we're in the game. Right now, we're not. And I think it's very important that we have somebody out there pounding the pavement for us, developing relationships up on the hill with the state folks, developing relationships even with other counties. Because a lot of times you'll be surprised, even though you said he's the competition, he might, Schenectady might have something that doesn't fit up there, and they're looking to refer him somewhere. Maybe it's here. And there's got to be a place within Albany County where we can fit businesses. And we've been losing out for a long time on some that I thought were slam dunks, only because we didn't have an office capable of handling the marketing. So I'm very happy that we're at this point. Matt, I think you've done a good job. I only met Matt a couple weeks ago. I don't know him except for a couple weeks when I talked to him, and I'm very excited about the potential that we have here in this county if we can get this office up and running. And I look at this position as like the air traffic controller. The information will come to him and he can distribute it out to the communities, and we can get to work on these projects. And we need to increase our tax base, and we need to create jobs. And if we do that, that will attract small business, as Mr. Grimm pointed out. Small business needs big business, and they need people to thrive. And it'll also affect their housing positively if we have jobs. So, again, I'm very enthused about this, and I would make, we can't make a motion right now. We're going to hold off on it. But I'm very happy. Thank you. Nice job.
Go ahead.
As Sean mentioned, communication and collaboration are key, and I'm glad to see that's all over your resume. It's excellent. And, Sean also made the point, too, that we're trying to compete with all of our neighboring counties that all have this up and running department. What more importantly to me was the economic development experience, and you have it on here, and I'm glad to see that. So could you just expand on that a little bit? Looks like Gramercy Communications, you manage some both private and also municipal entities and some economic development projects. Could you expand on that role too?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best examples I can give that hits a few of those bullets right there was working with the city of Waterville and Mayor Manning, and some of the initiatives that we've worked on with him, and he's he's received quite a few CFA grants and funding and other various fundings, a lot of it tied to the environment and some National Grid grants, and I remember doing the solar panels on the firehouse, and so a lot of those were more environment based, but at the end of the day, it was how do we achieve that money for the small business. He's done a great job. I drive down 19th Street now in Waterville, and I have kind of deja vu of all the store openings that we did during my time there. And these are businesses that are still up and thriving 3, 4, 5 years later. So that's just, I think, one of the best examples I want to give of a municipality right here in the county, and some of the projects we did there. Another economic development example I can give that's not in the county was the Destiny USA project out in Syracuse, where I think everyone's fairly familiar with that one, where they
pretty good sized project.
Yeah, expanded the mall out there. Was a huge economic driver, not only for that region, but I mean we were looking at it from we were touching Canada with where the dollars were coming into that facility, and a lot of that was marketing, communications driven to promote the businesses that were coming in there and get the tourists and the visitors to come in. We weren't there for the previous. We were there when it got up and running and they were building the new facility. It was the key though for all, whether it be a huge mall expansion or one of the smaller cities here in the county, was just the open communication with the community. Promoting the facilities, and just the hard work and the determination to promote the end product. So I hope that answers what you were.
Anyone else?
How do you see if you have say potential regulations or issues that come out of the legislature they could affect small businesses. They come to you. How do you see that working?
No, are you referencing the state legislature or the
No,
Albany
here,
County?
Say the county legislature wants to work on some piece of legislation that could affect small businesses.
Sure.
Possibly in a positive or a negative way, I mean, depending on the legislation.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I envision the role is when, I'm an employee, I would be an employee of the county. So for me, it would be, what's the layers of communication to ensure, one, that they're interpreting it correctly, because I think we've all seen where sometimes, whether it be constituents or businesses, sometimes they just need to be clarified of what's going on and all is good. So I think first that would be the first, what we would need to do. But then, just it almost sounds repetitive, what we've been talking about, but the open dialogue with that business leader, hearing their concerns, talking, with the members of the legislature, and just having that dialogue, I think, a lot of times can maybe not quite satisfy, but it'll make them feel good about having their business and their concerns being heard. Everything would be case by case, so it's very tough to say, here's X, Y, and Z of what we would do. But I think the key is being accessible for that will go a very long way to ensure the, satisfaction and morale of the customer or the business. So I would say to answer it, the businesses, I'd welcome that call and let me get right back to you, let's get some more information and make sure that they're getting an educated response.
Very good.
Anyone else?
Yeah, one of the things I'm hoping to be, Matt, is an advocate for business. I really see that as a role of economic development. You talk about marketing, but there's fundamental problems businesses have. They don't think government helps them. I'm a small business owner. I live with small business owners. They don't think government helps them. They think government hassles them. And Albany County is right there with anybody else. So I'm hoping you'll be an advocate and explain to the legislature the ramifications of a lot of laws they pass that make small businesses want to pull their hair out. And that's really what I'm hoping from you.
And I think open dialogue and being, and that's where the visibility and communication with the chambers, the CEGs, the groups like that will instill that
I'm glad
trust, I would
you
think.
plan on doing that.
Anyone else? I'm very happy that you've shown all your energy here tonight, and a young man that's coming to our aid. We need it very badly. So, can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting recess this meeting to the 13th of October after our public forum? Okay. In favor?
Aye.
Okay.